All right. Hey guys, it's Kelly. Today it's chapter 5 of Clementine and the spring trip. All right, here we go. Chapter 5. Wednesday morning, we had oatmeal for breakfast. Tell me if you can hear me eating this, I said to my brother. I took a tiny mouth nibble bite, sealed my lips tight around it, and swallowed as quietly as I could. My brother bugged his eyes and clapped his hands over his ears, as though jackhammers from Boston Common had started up again. I glared at him, which made him laugh so hard he tipped out of his chair. One way my brother is like my father, oh my gosh, is that he thinks he is a comedian all the time. So that's the brother falling out of the chair. Clementine. One way he is N-O-T, not like my father, is that he is never, ever funny. Never mind, I told him. You'll have to eat with the fourth graders one day, and you won't be laughing then. The whole bus ride to school, Margaret re-warned me about the rule. Just hearing about all the food sounds that could get me in trouble, it just made me really nervous. I almost had a nervous breakdown. Things got worse when I went into my classroom. After my teacher said, yet and not yet, he called me up to his desk. Clementine, I've arranged for you to partner with Olive for the field trip tomorrow, he said. I can't, I said. I'm already being partners with Margaret. I promised her, I said. So sorry. Margaret's teacher will see to getting her another partner, Mr. DeMatt said. I need someone reliable to partner with our new student. There's Mr. DeMatt telling Margaret. Why me? I asked. Why not Willie or Lily? Why not Willie and Lily together? Although actually, I knew why not Willie and Lily together. Lily is too busy bossing Willie to boss a new person. It's a compliment, Clementine, my teacher said. I know you'll do a really good job of making Olive feel comfortable on the field trip. I wanted to ask, but what about Margaret? What about me? Now who's going to make me feel comfortable on the field trip? But Mr. DeMatt was already standing up and collecting the permission slips. Instead, when he asked for someone to deliver them to the office, I launched my hand in the air like a rocket. After I dropped the permission slips off at the office, I knocked on the principal's door. Mrs. Rice stuck her hand out for the note from my teacher. I usually have when I visit her, but I shook my head. No, I'm here today to volunteer and stay at school tomorrow and spy on the party for you. The party? Mrs. Rice asked. Now what party is this, Clementine? The one the lunchroom ladies and the custodians are going to have. You know, with all the great food in the lunchroom ladies, they hide all the good food from us. No, I don't know about any party tomorrow, Principal Rice said. But what I do know about tomorrow is that it's your field trip, Clementine. I heaved a tragedy sigh. Oh, it's too bad. I'll miss my field trip. But the lunchroom ladies and the custodians are probably going to have to play poker and dance around, I said, making my voice extra tragic. Maybe the librarian too, and the nurse. Maybe there will even be kissing at the party. You know what spring does to people. I'd better stay and watch for you. My friend Margaret can stay here at school too. Clementine, the cafeteria is closed tomorrow, and all the staff have the day off. Now, I understand you're going to buddy up with our newest student on the field trip. Your teacher is counting on you. I think he's made a wise choice. Suddenly, my head was too tired to pretend anymore. My head dropped down in Mrs. Rice's desk, which I think should have a pillow on it, because talking to her makes my head tired a lot. Is something wrong, Clementine? Mrs. Rice asked. I rolled my head over so my mouth could move. Margaret can't touch anything that might make her dirty, I said. She needs me to be with her so I can do all the things for her. Also, I really need Margaret with me because I can't do silent eating alone. I've been practicing at home and I just can't do it. There's a picture of her head on the principal's desk. And anyway, I don't even want to do silent eating. Why do I have to care about something so stupid like that? I just want to stay in 3rd grade forever. I never want to go to 4th grade. Principal Rice rested her cheek in her hand. You're not excited to be a 4th grader next fall, she said. What's going on? I explained to her everything Margaret had explained to me about 4th grade. I even added the horror faces Margaret had made that had scared me really so much, so she would understand. But when I was finished, Mrs. Rice only shrugged. I agree with you about that role. What do you think you should do? Which meant that even though she was the boss of everybody in the school, she didn't have any good ideas about not getting bossed around by other people. So I pushed in the chair and I told her I was all done being in her office. See you tomorrow, Principal Rice said. Okay, fine, I said, but it wasn't. When I got home from school, I plunked myself next to the window to look for birds to draw for National Draw a Bird Day. No matter what's wrong, making art always makes me feel better. Right away, I saw something that would make a great picture. A pigeon struggling to peck apart a bagel on the sidewalk. Mrs. Jacoby on the 7th floor, she always dumped Cheerios out for the pigeons every single day. And this pigeon looked like he was thinking, wow, this is one gigantic Cheerio. That's Clementine looking out the window, watching the pigeon eat the bagel. I borrowed a big piece of paper from my mom, who was working on her own drawing, and lay down on the floor to work. Let me tell you, it's not easy drawing the I must be dreaming face on a pigeon, even for someone like me, who is practically a famous artist. The beak, it kept looking all crumbled up. As I was erasing for the 3rd time, my father stuck his head into the living room. Oh, Clementine, he said, we've had a call from the Pentagon. I jumped up and saluted. We'd better go, I answered. My mother threw her hands up in the air. What is it with you two and this Pentagon joke lately? She cried. I just don't get it. Sorry, top secret mission, Mom, I told her. National security. My mom shook her head, and I followed my dad out to the basement. We went into the workshop, and I closed the door behind us. You can't be too careful when you're working with the Pentagon, I reminded him. My mom thinks we are kidding when we talk about the Pentagon, but the real joke is that we're not. The Pentagon is an actual thing, just not the one near Washington that's filled with people. Our Pentagon is a secret present my dad and I are building to celebrate the new baby that's coming. Our Pentagon is a table, one that will be just right for our new family because it has 5 sides, one for everybody in our family. It's not that easy building a 5-sided table, let me tell you. The big problem is the corner angles. They aren't square the way they are in regular tables. I was the one who finally figured it out. Look, Dad, I said after we started the picture in my math book, stared at the picture in my math book for a while. A pentagon is really just 3 triangles put together. My dad turned the book around and around, and he still didn't see it. So I drew it out on a piece of paper. Wow, look at that. A pentagon is 3 triangles. And that turned her dad making the table, the special secret table. My dad ruffled up my hair and grinned when he understood. Genius, kid, he said. So a triangle has 180 degrees, and 3 triangles are 540, I prompted. A pentagon's corners add up to 540 degrees. I think you're right, and 540 degrees divided by 5 is 180 degrees, I figured out. Genius, kid, he said again. I got myself a genius kid. My dad pulled the blanket off the pentagon. It wasn't a table yet, but you could tell that it was going to be one really soon. The 5 legs were ready. Excuse me. And they were all cut the same length, and they were sanded down until they were smooth. The top of the table was a beautiful piece of wood. It was all rubbed with oil. What are we doing today, Dad? I asked. We're assembling the skirt, my dad said. The table skirt is made of the boards that run perpendicular to the table, parallel to the perimeter, just beneath it. He kept going with his la-di-blah-di-blah-di-blah, blah, 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 carpentry words, but I studied the plans instead. I get it, Dad. The skirt is the part that hangs down, like a skirt, and the legs stick out from there, like a skirt. Well, my dad said, well, yes, that's a better way to say it, I guess. Now we're going to need a saw and a drill and a pencil and some clamps. We buckled on our tool belts and we got to work. Let me tell you, it's very hard to hold boards together, clamp them, and then mark them and drill holes. Finally, I dropped the drill. I can't do it. I can't do it. My hands are too confused. One at a time, my dad said. One tool, one hand, one piece of wood. One step, one at a time. I held the board with one hand. My dad placed the ruler over it. With my other hand, I marked the spot to drill. And my dad was right. One tool, one piece of wood, one step at a time. We built a pentagon skirt. Just as I was hanging up my tool belt beside my dad's, I heard the elevator clunk to a stop. Clunk. My dad and I threw the cover over the pentagon table and closed the workshop door behind us. It was Margaret. Uh-oh. She had a pinched down, don't cry mouth, and she nodded at my apartment door without saying anything. I let her in, and then I followed her to my bedroom. She doesn't look happy. What's wrong? I asked. Margaret sank down onto my bed without even placing a germ-protective towel on the bedspread. Wow, something I'd never seen her do before. My mother and Alan aren't just Twitter-padded, she said. They're getting married. And Alan's moving in. Mitchell only said, oh, cool, and then went off to baseball practice as if it was no big deal. But it's a big deal, Clementine. It's terrible. But I thought you didn't mind Alan anymore, I said. I'm used to him now, Margaret said. It's not him I mind moving in with us. It's his pipe. Alan's pipe will be living in my house, Clementine. Every time I touch something, I'm going to have to worry about pipe germs crawling around on me. They were fine the way they were. Why does my mother have to go and change everything? This winter, when I found out about our new baby coming, it felt the same way. No, thanks to change, I said. Yep, change is part bad, my dad had admitted, but it's part good, too. He said, it's up to us to figure out which part to concentrate on. Well, I said now to Margaret, are there any good parts to Alan moving in? Margaret scrunched her eyes closed and thought hard. Alan hates baseball, she said finally. My mother and Mitchell are obsessed with it. Now at least we'll be on even teams for television watching. Hey, maybe we'll get to watch the Neat Squad some nights instead of the Red Sox games. Margaret's favorite television show is about a team of professional organizers called the Neat Squad. They go into people's messy houses and they straighten them up while they're away, as if that would be a wonderful surprise for anybody. Once, my father joked that he was going to call them up and ask them about my bedroom, and I stopped speaking to my dad for like a day and a half. Anyway, I didn't think someone who left his pipe around everywhere was going to vote to watch a show called The Neat Squad. Can you think of any other good things about them getting married, I asked. Margaret said, so long that I started to giving up hope. She said. But then she came up with something. When my parents were married, they never kissed, she said. So maybe Mom and Alan getting married will stop them from kissing every day. Margaret looked like she was trying really hard to cheer herself up with this idea. So I didn't tell her the bad news about my parents. They kissed all the time. Margaret got up and walked over to my bureau. She stood there looking over my stuff. Her hands were twitching. She didn't like my messiness. I have a lot of different sections, like the fruit that's my name. Watching Margaret at my bureau, half of my Clementine sections wanted to say, don't touch anything. But the other half of them were thinking, oh, go ahead, let her play Neat Squad on your bureau, if that will make Margaret happy. Luckily, there was a knock on my door before I had to decide which half should win. It was my dad. He handed me the photograph Margaret had taken of her in the Common on Sunday. I thought you might like a copy of this, he said. Margaret's whole body seemed to smile. She was looking at the picture. She was so happy. It gave me a great idea. After she left, I got out my drawing of the pigeon with the bagel. I flipped it over and started on a new drawing. It took a really long time because I gave each of the brass ducklings their own sparkle rays, and then I put a bunch on Margaret too, so she looked like the sun. But when I was finished, it was beautiful. And although it was still a few days until National Draw a Bird Day, my dad and I went up to the lobby and taped it next to the display case. What a beautiful picture. And that's the end of chapter 5, and chapter 6 will be coming soon. Have a great day.